It was great news last week that Australia, New Zealand, and the US announced at least a diplomatic boycott of next February's Winter Olympics in Beijing. But now China have announced their own retaliation to encourage social media influencers to promote the Games. In New York, PR firm Vippy is being paid $300,000 US to hire prominent Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch users to tout the Games and promote China-US cooperation. That's a euphemism if there ever was one, on issues like climate change. Bronwyn Bishop, will this PR stunt work to rehabilitate the image of the Chinese Communist Party?
This isn't a stunt. This is serious, and it's got a forerunner, hasn't it? I mean, in the 30s, you had people like Joe Kennedy as ambassador to London, actually trying to keep America from committing to the war effort. He actually promoted Hitler. He liked what Hitler was doing. He liked the way that he was attacking the so-called Jewish question. The language he used in that was exactly that language. So there's always been a dissident lot in the United States. It can be called treasonous behaviour. And to see that Americans would be paid by the Communist Party of China to undermine its own nation, I just find incredible. And to be so overt. And really, I think they should come down on them like a ton of bricks. If it happened here in Australia, I think there would be an absolute outrage and something would be done about it. But whether or not Biden's got any strength to do anything, I wouldn't know. He seems to be someone who, on one hand says, China, if you go into Taiwan on one day, we'll do something about it, and then say, oh, well, no, we won't. Then he has this peculiar discussion with President Xi. But they need a president. They seriously need a president who loves the country, loves the people, and will stick up for it. And this allowing the Chinese to advertise and skite about finding Americans who will undermine their own nation, I just find appalling. Well, treasonous.
Couldn't agree with you more. From Joe Kennedy to Joe Biden in 80 years. And Bronwyn, if I can throw you a question without notice, we did have the announced boycott, diplomatic boycott. Do you think we should have gone further with that, or do you think that's enough of a message to send to China from Australia?
Well, the problem is that the Olympic Games, of course, are technically privately run. It's not a government initiative. And I think to have a boycott of diplomats and officials is a good step. I mean, you'll remember when it happened with Moscow
That's just what I was
decades ago. Yeah. It didn't really work. Some people went, some people didn't. I think this is sending a clearer message saying, well, there will be a definite boycott of this. But, you know, again, 1936 and the Olympic Games in Berlin was a hell of a boost for Hitler and the National Socialists that he ran. And China will be doing exactly the same thing with these Winter Olympics. And I just find people who are of the Olympic movement who try and talk up, well, we should be there with China because China is good. I find that appalling. But I can see if they want to compete, it's a competition, but they mustn't be able to be used to talk up China as if it was some decent member of the world community, because it isn't. We know it isn't, and we know that President Xi is on the march. We know he wants to dominate the world. We know that there is slave labour, that there's sale of body parts. We just know how bad things are there, and we've glossed over it for too long. We're finally coming to terms with the fact that we're prepared to out it and talk about it. And we mustn't let the Winter Olympics sort of put a nice little shield over China again and forget about the issues that are very real.